Ring the bell.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Slam Society. Welcome to our review show here from WWE Smackdown in Jeddah. I'm one of your hosts, Karlifornia. This is Jooseyboy. What's going on, JB?
Dude, not a lot. We're here to review this episode of SmackDown primarily because it's taking place in a foreign country, and secondly because it also contained the quarterfinals and semifinals, I believe, in the King of the Ring tournament, which we felt made it special enough to warrant its own coverage. It'll really be up to audience opinion as to whether that's true.
Well, we'll get into it. Well, I thought it'd be, an interesting SmackDown because it was in this, big stadium. So, look, it remains to be seen as this review moves on. So it did feel weird seeing a SmackDown in a massive stadium. I know on SmackDown, Corey Graves is like the play-by-play guy there now, right? He's the play-by-play guy, and Wade Barrett's the color commentator. Is it just me, or did you notice at the beginning he spoke for way too long before Wade got to say anything, right?
Man, Corey doesn't work as a play-by-play commentator. It took me nearly a decade to start enjoying him as a color commentator. I don't think it works. I kept wondering where Michael Cole was, and I don't think that position on the team suits Corey Graves personally.
Well, you said took you a decade to. I still don't enjoy him in any role. That's just me. Okay, let's crack on with the show here. The first matchup here, Jooseyboy, Nia Jax and Bianca Belair in the semifinals of the Queen of the Ring tournament. Winner faces Lyra Valkyria at the big show, the PLE. What did you think of the opening contest here, JB?
Well, I have to say, I've never been a giant fan of Nia Jax, but ever since she's come back for this current WWE run, I have to say she really is improving in the ring. There's much of a more, like, her matches have a better flow to them. It feels like something's clicked in her mind. Not so much in terms of the psychology of her being the bigger opponent, but more when to do things and like the pauses to take in between doing things. So I feel like she's really picked up her game in that area. And I thought that her and Bianca Belair had a decent little match here. I'd probably give the match a C+. I think the fact that the crowd seemed to really enjoy it, and they're in Saudi Arabia, it says a lot about how far the women's division in WWE and perhaps women's wrestling overall has come in just a relatively short time. Because I feel like the women's matches in this tournament had just as much tension and sort of a high stakes feel as the men's. So I enjoyed this match, and I was kind of pleasantly surprised to see Nia win, because I sort of was thinking maybe they were going to go the other way with the winner. What do you think?
Well, I thought it was good. I think Nia Jax is doing good as a heel at the moment. Not that I watch the weekly show that often, but just any time I've seen her in the last year, I thought she's done a good job. The fans definitely don't like her. But one thing I kind of have an issue with is, why can't we do the two? I know that there's a King and Queen of the Ring, so it's going to take up a bit of time, but I prefer when they had like to wrestle more than one match in the show before winning the tournament. It feels like they've gone through this grueling process. Like, I'm not saying that they need quarterfinals, semifinals, finals like Bret Hart in '93. And you can check out our exclusive review of that show on this channel here. But, at least two, semifinals and a finals. What do you think? Am I just nitpicking for nitpicking's sake, Jooseyboy?
Well, I don't know. I don't mind them splitting the matches across different shows, because in the sense that it makes every show where King of the Ring matches are happening feel a little bit more significant. And I think also you save uh the physical well-being and the cardio and the energy of the guys that are going to end up in the final by only having them wrestle that final match. But in my opinion, though, that puts a lot more pressure on the final matches in the King of the Ring tournament because, like you had said, if it was the similar format to the '93 King of the Ring, the first King of the Ring that we reviewed, then you can kind of cut some slack if the in-ring quality isn't, all it could be towards the end. But now it's in a situation where I personally, as a fan, am expecting very, very high quality matches from these final tournament matches. So I think there's pluses and minuses to both approaches.
So Lyra Valkyria was at ringside for this. Ain't she fucking gorgeous, mate? Jesus Christ. The fans are very refreshing. I've always said that about the Saudi Arabia fans. I find them refreshing. They act like fans are supposed to act. Just natural. Just natural. I saw someone complaining the other day that Lyra Valkyria beat Io Sky to advance in the tournament. I don't know if the people out there are aware or not, Juicy Boy, but there are times where you have to try and like make new stars, right?
And it's supposed to be a sport, so people don't win every game. It would be weird if you won every single prize fight you were in with the frequency that they have to wrestle, if it was real.
It's like Roger Federer wasn't undefeated for years in tennis.
Yeah.
Anyway, look, Nia won with a very stiff-looking bun-side drop. Holy crap. But, that was I like the finish here. And Nia dragging Kayla Braxton around afterward in the ring to get a closer look at Lyra Valkyria at ringside as she, shot off some unkind words toward her. I thought this worked very well. Anyway, let's move forward. Bianca Belair backstage getting her knee iced. Tiffany Stratton walks past acting like a bitch. Then Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae show up and they act like bitches too. Then Jade Cargill shows her sexy ass up in that great outfit and the heels buzz off. I didn't know Indy and Candice turned heel.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. These kind of segments, no matter which division they are taking place with, they're always lazy. It always reduces the people involved to looking like schoolyard children who are just getting into fights over petty reasons. It's like whether you're a babyface or a heel, you shouldn't want to wrestle at the drop of the hat. You should want to conserve yourself as much as possible for significant matches. And I'll use that to lead us straight into what came next, bro. We went from that segment, and the next major thing to come after that was obviously the Grayson Waller effect. And the guest was supposed to be, of course, LA Knight. Grayson Waller effect started. I have to say, I really like the intro for the Grayson Waller effect. I like the graphics. The positive reaction from the crowd sort of surprised me because you would still think that maybe the Grayson Waller effect itself wasn't as well known, but maybe it's just because they're getting excited for everything that's happening. The segment itself, it kind of felt underwhelming in the same way that the Waller effect segment with Cody did in our home city at Elimination Chamber, in the sense that, they did the whole setup where LA Knight is supposed to be the guest. Carmelo Hayes comes down. The heels all decide amongst themselves, yeah, Carmelo's going to be better. He'll be a better guest. They trash talk LA Knight. LA comes out, makes the entrance just to get the pop, basically. Pretty much verbally murders Carmelo Hayes, which Carmelo Hayes is only just new up on the roster, and he was a high draft pick. And, but he gets kind of made mincemeat of verbally by LA Knight. They then start attacking LA Knight when he tries to leave the ring, and the heels do the typical beatdown. That leads to the Street Profits running out, which was a very weakly set up run in, because moments earlier, and this whole segment probably went for about 5 minutes. So literally moments earlier, Austin Theory and Grayson Waller started bad mouthing Bobby Lashley and saying how he's a crap mentor and that's why the Street Profits are crap. And that really had no tangential connection to either LA
Tangential.
Knight.
Fuck me.
Well, what? So it had no real connection either to what LA Knight was doing or what is going on with Carmelo Hayes. But they clearly use that as a pretext to set up a six-man tag between LA Knight and the Street Profits and Carmelo Hayes and A-Town Down Under. I would give that match a C plus as well. I thought that it was an entertaining little TV match. Everybody got to do their main stuff. I thought there was a real good little segment in the middle of the match where Angelo Dawkins really got to show off. And I appreciate that the commentators made a point of saying Angelo Dawkins is underrated. He can do all this stuff for a guy his size. He's incredible. LA Knight, of course, was just really, I felt like he was really, as the saying goes, cooking with gas in this match. He really got a flow going. But the match itself, we would criticize it if we saw it on the other show, which I like to say. You know, it didn't have any heat on it. It didn't really have any reason to occur other than to just get an entrance for LA Knight and, you know, have a little bit of a moment for him and the Street Profits to beat down the heels. It felt flimsy. I've been quite complimentary of a lot of Triple H's creative decisions, but I do feel like some of these segments, like this Waller Effect one and the subsequent six-man tag, still feels like a lazy kind of template from the Vince McMahon era.
Just cut and paste, mate. Cut and paste. But
yeah,
look at the adjective tangential. Tangential. If you describe something as tangential, you mean that it has only a slight or indirect connection with the thing you are concerned with and is therefore not worth considering seriously. Tangential.
that's right, which means I used it correctly.
Yeah, but you know what, mate? You think you're so smart, Juicy
Why don't
Boots.
you
You've got
just tell
all
us what
these
you
big
thought?
words, you got this vocabulary, and you throw these big words out there every now and then, like it's just a regular occurrence. You slide it in there, and I pick up on it immediately, and I won't let it go.
Well, just because you rated an 8-year-old level, you know, that's not really. What do you think of the six-man tag?
Wants to change the subject straight away. Well, you know what? This show is very cut and paste, lazy. Okay, they want to do Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell losing a tag title match to Jade and Bianca tomorrow on the pre-show. So they had to come up with a reason, and that's all that they came up with. Like they wrote it with a crayon.
Bad.
It's
Very
so
bad.
oh. This
Very
is the
bad.
biggest wrestling company in the world, Juicy Boy. Come on.
I'm doing the Babu from Seinfeld. Very bad. Very bad.
And again, yes, Grayson Waller effect. Look, I love the theme song because it's so bomb, 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 bomb. Like it's
just obnoxious,
it's
man.
very obnoxious. I did laugh at LA Knight throwing Grayson's plants and things out the ring. Grayson starts complaining that it cost him a lot of why is he paying for it all to come over? It's fantastic. I love little details like that, but like again, this is fuck. It's just you know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, I hate complaining so much, but LA Knight comes out, and then, you know, as he's turned his back, he's not just going to walk out the ring, and then Carmelo attacks him, and then the heels get on him, like, oh, he's going to make the save. Oh, here comes the Street Profits. And I'm just like, I'm so over them. I like Montez, I like Angelo, but it's boring. Like, they've done the same thing for how fucking long now? the match happened, like whatever. You knew LA Knight was gonna his team was gonna go over. I don't know what was with Montez Ford's Enziguri on Carmelo Hayes, but Mello, chill out. You don't need to do a flip bump all the time. Like it just didn't look right. It
Yeah,
looked
that was
wrong.
weird.
Yeah, it was
All
just
right.
badly timed. I'm not done.
Aren't you? Go ahead.
Montez Ford overshot his frog splash as well. There.
Oh, yes, you're right. He did. His knees landed very bad, like it was a bad looking landing. It looked like it hurt. Hope Grayson was okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so we get footage of Logan at the press conference with his stupid face and wearing the sunglasses. Um, Whatever. Randy Orton and Cody run into each other at the building. They shake hands. Whatever. Heyman seems very unsure about Tama Tonga. As he's back, I don't know, because this is what heaps of people do this stuff, bro. When they're getting ready for something, they just find a random area in the building and start doing their warm-ups, like in the middle
Yeah,
of.
I see. I think there's a reason for that, man. If you actually looked at all the backstage segments and things like that, a lot of them you could see the ceiling. It all took place under that one domed area. It's almost like, unlike arenas in the United States where they have all the offices and stuff, seemed like it was built different. Like that segment where Cody walks in and shakes hands with Randy Orton. If you notice, it was just another section somewhere else in this huge arena where they had all the crates and everything. So what I think is that there's this huge surrounding area of the stadium where they had all their shit set up. Because I noticed that segments were taking place in seemingly random little spots throughout the arena, not the usual office type setups,
Yeah,
with the
yeah,
exception of the
it's
Nick Aldis thing
of
with AJ.
course, yeah, but I have a feeling that they recorded that
Mm,
like last week or something. Anyway,
yeah.
this show is not really that exciting. It doesn't push the boundaries of creativity. They're not trying to be like, let's make this week's show better than last week's. They just kind of coast along, Juicy Boy. That's how I was feeling here. Here comes Cody. Yay! Adrenaline in my hole. Out he comes. Logan interrupts him straight away. I thought this segment with him getting the referee to come in the ring to pat him down because Logan said that he gave his nuts to Michael Cole. I thought this again was so badly written, juvenile. Referee finds the knucks. Logan's all embarrassed.
Yeah,
I thought this
it's
sucked, dude. What do you
yeah,
think?
the only thing I really have to say about it is, like, obviously you've got two charismatic stars, but this goes back again to what I said earlier about the backstage confrontations leading to matches, which is also a problem in AEW. Boom. And this again just felt like kids on the schoolyard, not two multi-millionaire entertainers, businessmen, and athletes who are preparing for a prize fight. You know, it would be one thing if it was stipulated that Logan would lose his championship if he got disqualified or used a foreign object, and then you had this check actually take place before the match. But here, the way that they did it, bro, obviously, they do the check. The ref goes and checks him. Logan agrees to be checked, clearly knowing he has the brass knucks in the pocket the whole time. He does some shit joke about, oh, these aren't even my pants. Why the fuck would you not be wearing your own pants, dude? You can afford the finest clothing in the world. So then he goes, oh, well, I never actually said I wasn't going to have him on me tonight. I said I wasn't going to have him on me in the actual title match. How
So
do I know
bad.
that you weren't going to attack me? And it's like, dude, when has Cody Rhodes ever attacked anyone like that with a foreign object? Like, so again, there'll be always some fans out there that think that we're nitpicking, and it's like, kids do watch it as well. You have to understand, it's got to be, there's a difference between something being basic and simple, right? Like you can have something that is simple and easy to understand, but also not insulting to everyone's intelligence. And that's what this segment was.
It was insulting. Like just the way that Logan was cowering afterward, and I was just like fucking hell, like this. Can we think of something to put some hate on the match? So I give a shit because we know Cody's winning. We know he's retaining the belt. He's not losing to Logan Paul in Saudi Arabia there. It's not happening. Let's make it interesting somehow. This is the best you could come up with on the go home show. Fucking hell, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Like we know it's going to be a good match in the ring, but that's not really making me all that excited to have to sit down and watch it, especially knowing the other company's got a pay-per-view coming the next day.
Fuck, what a weekend, bro.
Yeah.
Why do we cover wrestling for if it gets us so angry? Is Tommaso Ciampa and Gargano, are they heels now?
I don't know. I think so.
Fucking hell.
They might have turned him heel.
Fucking hell. So what, Ciampa, because they want a tag title shot, they go up to the Street Profits and act like absolute cunts. And he grabs Montez's drink and tips it out. Wow, great heat, boys.
Again,
well
childish.
Well done.
Who like is Tony Khan doing a little bit of writing on the side for
who's writing this shit? Is it still PG? Because this is like, as you said, grown adults acting like children.
You know what? I mean, we haven't factored in the fact that maybe what they did was toned down because they knew it was in Saudi Arabia.
No.
And so, but then even then it thinks that, like they've done more edgy stuff in Saudi shows before. I just think, like we always say, we're not going to play favorites. Like this felt really cookie cutter, and it felt like they were trying to pop a bigger number out of it by acting like it was going to be like a special episode, but then it just wasn't a special episode at all.
Oh man, like I can't believe I'm being so negative on the show, but like I watched NXT this week, so much more exciting, so much going on, heaps of stories, heaps of angles going on, character development, things that happen this week, it affects someone, so they start acting different the following week, etc. Anyway, let's keep going with this and finish this off. Bailey takes on Chelsea Green in, I guess, a non-title match. They just fucking plod along on the show. They just plod along.
It's a dud match. It didn't even go for 5 minutes. It's one of those things where did they stick it in there because they wanted to have more women's representation?
I don't know. Is Piper Niven against Bailey at the pay-per-view? I don't know.
I'm not sure.
I don't know. Really, but anyway, Chelsea Green at some point has to get a win that fucking means something, bro. She can't keep just losing. She can't keep being in that spot where she just loses all the time. She needs to get a win sometimes, you know? I'm not saying she needs to win here, but...
Well, she needs some wins to, like, validate the persona that she carries herself with. Like, why can't you put her in some squash matches and let her knock over some tomato cans so that she has a reason to be walking around acting all obnoxious and stuff? It isn't working at the moment. They've just shoved her into that spot that previously used to be used by people like Jillian Hall used to be in those matches, right?
Exactly.
Alicia Fox used to get stuck into those matches once they decided they weren't going to do anything with her. Torres, people like that.
Chelsea Green has so much upside. I think she's very good. I think she's very entertaining. And she loses to this move called the Rose Plant. And I'm like, what the fuck was that?
Like, I don't like that. I prefer the belly to Bailey.
Yeah, do the Bailey to belly. Keep that going. I don't know. I don't understand some of these finishing moves. Anyway, AJ Styles enters Nick Aldis's office and wants another shot at the WWE title.
Good little seg. I thought this was all right.
Yeah, like
because the
guys, less a mystery in the air. We don't really know where it's headed. At least that was something, right?
Yeah, basically he comes in, he says, please, I was so close to winning, to getting into the King of the Ring final. I was so close to beating Cody Rhodes. Please give me another chance. You know, this was spoken like a man who was actually serious about it. He had a somber expression across his face. and he's standing there, and it looks like he's actually concerned and invested in what Nick Aldis is going to say. Um, Aldis then says, "Look, on a personal level, of course, I'd be willing to give you another shot because obviously, because he has respect for who AJ Styles is, but he's like, professionally, I can't offer you that because, you've lost these opportunities. Now you've got to kind of go back to the back of the line, and that takes time." AJ crucially says, "I don't have time," obviously alluding to the fact that he's pushing 50 and he's sort of closer to the end of his career. These are probably his last few years in the ring.
Mm.
So Nick Aldis was like, "Well, I can't really do anything about that," which is obviously a friendly HR type way of saying, "Well, look, AJ, if you're getting too old and that was your last big opportunity and you don't think you're going to have, like, that's not my problem. Maybe
Mm.
you've lost your final opportunity." And then AJ didn't get angry or yell or do any kind of exaggerated response. He just sort of tapped his fingers on the desk and slunk out of there.
Mm.
So it feels like they're setting up for AJ to take matters into his own hands, uh, in terms of trying to get what he wants. But that's an idea of how to do a good backstage segment, because now you've got some, like you said, there's some mystery about what AJ is doing, and then of course, how is this going to affect Nick Aldis running the show?
Yeah, exactly. And another question: is Nick ever going to wrestle? I don't. Last time,
I'm sure they'll bust that card out at some point.
I hope
But
so. I hope so. He hasn't wrestled since October last year. Um, but whatever. I think it would be a shame that like this is probably the last real portion of his career where he can actually do something. And he's just like the general manager, but that's okay. Legado del Fantasma backstage talking about Andrade after there was like an Andrade vignette because he's coming to SmackDown. Um, I don't know where they're going with that or him.
again, not interesting. Cookie cutter. I feel like I've seen these segments between Legado del Fantasma / the LWO. I feel like I've just seen the same segment 500 different times.
I don't.
That's
Yeah, I feel like with Andrade, the last few years, especially in AEW, but now in WWE, like how many times do we have to see
yeah,
vignettes of him talking about what he's
jogging
going to do and then he doesn't do anything?
jogging in place. He just came back. Why are you still playing another vignette when you just had him wrestle?
This fucking draft that they do, bro. It like, why are we taking so like the draft was weeks ago? Why are we taking so long to bring someone over? Why aren't they there? Like, boom, first
Well,
day, showing what they're made of here on SmackDown. Why are we taking so long?
Well, I've been less critical of that than others because I think the reason why they did that and the reason why they set the precedent that people can be drafted by their existing brand to stay, and the reason why they're making such a long window before the changes get locked is because I think they realize that the draft has lost all its goodwill with the fans, and they took one on the chin. They put this quite boring, quite drab draft in place so that next year they'll change it up a bit more and people might take it a bit more seriously if because they're going to stick to what they've done this time. So that could be the motivation, but again, is that long-term planning, is that going to help you in the short term when people are sort of feeling underwhelmed by all this stuff? Anyway,
I don't know. Anyway, look, I was happy to see a Blair Davenport vignette. Big fan, because I love NXT, and I think she's going to do a great job. Again, this show is so slow. Okay, we're gonna the plot thickens here backstage with the bloodline, but let's just get through this, right?
yeah,
Heyman's freaking out about Loa and Tonga, right? Okay. Randy Orton's theme song hits, bro. I did the research here. His theme song hits at 1 hour, 11 minutes, and 24 seconds into the show. Okay. 6 minutes passed by at 1 hour, 17:27. That's when Tama Tonga's theme song played. Then by the time he got to the ring and the bell rang, it was 1 hour, 20 minutes and 5 seconds. So nearly 9 minutes it took from the beginning of Randy Orton's theme song to the bell ringing and the match. This is what I'm talking about with the fucking plodding along and taking so fucking long to get from one thing to another.
Yeah, and a quick note on that, and it's all I'll say before we move on, because I know we want to wrap up. We reviewed King of the Ring 93, but it doesn't just apply to that show. It applies to a lot of shows from the 90s and 2000s. You can still make the entrances of the characters an exciting and energizing and fun thing that people enjoy without making them go for 6 minutes each time. You really can. Like when we're watching King of the Ring 93, to use that review, bro, you know, all I can say is the entrances were about 1.5 to 2 minutes each at most. And I was still excited watching the entrances, the theme songs, the lighting, the presentation. So more doesn't always mean better. More doesn't always mean better.
Like
Longer.
Orton makes his entrance. He's in the ring, and then we cut to a package of like something else, and like Orton's standing there for 6 minutes waiting for his opponent to get into the ring. Anyway, I don't have any. You talk about the main event because I don't really.
Yeah,
have that much to say.
I'll quickly go through it. I think that every time Randy Orton has a TV match, I end up finding myself enjoying it. There's a sense of him really having fun and enjoying this phase of his career when you watch him in the ring. Tama Tonga did a few things that were quite impressive in this match. I think he has really adjusted quite well to being in WWE, considering the position he was thrust into. And yeah, I thought this was a decent little match. I'd give it a B minus. I found it kind of predictable. I know that Tama Tonga is not going to immediately be put into that position so soon after debuting. I want to see Gunther versus Randy Orton, but I also find myself conflicted about that now, bro, because I really would like Gunther to win the King of the Ring, but people already saying on Twitter that the only thing Randy Orton hasn't done is win a King of the Ring. And I really don't think that Gunther needs to be taking another major loss.
No, I don't want to see him take an RKO.
No,
and lose
or
the final.
If he takes one, have him kick out of it. Like have him be the first person to kick out of it. And
no, Gunther has to win this, dude. He has to win it.
That's what I think.
It would be bullshit. Like Orton doesn't need this. He doesn't need to win this. He can get a title shot at Cody at some point down the line, but he doesn't need to win a King of the Ring in order to get there. He's already Randy Orton. So I think it's more important for Gunther to continue climbing the ranks of WWE. Anyway, I did like the match too. Nice finish with the RKO. Solo attacks Orton after the match. Kevin Owens makes the save.
Again, we've got people running out making saves. Like, I understand that they aren't going to be doing these crazy shows each week that are really exciting us and getting people talking about this new era, but come on. They've done this for several times in the past several weeks. They've done this same.
Oh man, I used to get on Tony Khan's ass about this. People running in after the match, just always like. I remember one pay-per-view, it happened like 14 times on the show, the Go Home show of Dynamite, and I'm like, if he's not getting away with it, WWE aren't getting away with it. It's fucking lazy. Anyway, okay, there's SmackDown from Jeddah. Let's react to some tweets here, Juicy Boy. Unless you wanted to give the show a rating out of 10.
Yeah, I'll give it a 6.5 out of 10. It was okay. It didn't set the world on fire though.
No, I'm giving it a 5 out of 10. Okay, because I felt like it was a waste of time. Okay. So the tweet that you found, I'm going to read this one out to you here, Juicy Boy.
Yeah.
From our favorite, the real one. Flipping and changing your whole opinion on a company you enjoy because one man is now in charge of creative for the company you hated on is pathetic.
Really? Well, didn't he flip and change everything? His entire opinion about wrestling became founded on AEW strictly because of the one guy that was running it? So it's, stop being stupid.
Like, it's such a dumb thing to say because it's like, yeah, I did change my opinion because Vince isn't there anymore, and I think it's better now that
Yeah,
Triple H is there because I think his vision
yeah,
is better and he's actually letting, you
yeah.
know, ideas like be seen through to fruition.
Yeah, it
Like,
turns out after all these years of people saying, well, once Vince is finally gone, it'll be some fresh blood and it'll pick back up again. People been saying that for like 15 years, and oh, what a shock. It actually happens, and that's exactly the result. Wow. Stupid tweet. Just stop tweeting.
it's just it's on it has to be on purpose,
I
dude.
don't even,
It
yeah.
has to be a just a troll because, dude, like, okay, if I like a sports team, right? And I don't like how the team is running because the coach is doing a bad job. But then they get a new coach, and all of a sudden I'm liking the team again because they're doing what I was hoping them to do because this new coach
Yes.
has a better vision. Then why would that be pathetic? Why would that be pathetic? Put the
Yeah.
comparison next to each other, you fucking dolt. Okay, let's move forward. Okay, General Rayburn at General Rayburn. He said, what's the point of checking them for foreign objects when their match doesn't take place until a day later? That will be like unlocking your door the night before you open it to head off to work in the morning. What? Come on, man. That is such a stretch. Like,
That's a weird analogy. It was stupid that they were checking them for equipment, or for foreign objects, sorry, but I feel like that person I think it sounded better in their head, you
yeah,
know?
I think so too, because bro, like the
I think they
point
sat there and like,
the point of it was Cody was trying to prove that even though Logan had given up his knucks to Michael Cole the day before or whatever, he was trying to prove that he still had some on him. That's the whole
yeah,
point.
yeah,
That's why they were
Logan
checking
Paul,
it.
yeah, they're showing that he's dishonest. He's not a man of his word. It
Even
wasn't
though we
about,
thought, yeah, even though we thought the segment was very childish and juvenile and stupid,
yeah,
it makes sense at least on that level. The way General Rayburn is going about it is, I think, a little bit silly. Anyway, John LaRocca at LaRocca JL. This Cody Rhodes and Logan Paul segment was tremendous. I have loved the build to this match and really looking forward to it tomorrow. Good on you, John.
that's good that you're enjoying it,
Good
dude,
on
but
you,
I
man.
don't really understand.
I just think some fans are very
Like for
um
me, I'm excited about what we're going to see bell to bell, but nothing else. But yeah,
don't you think like the way that the TV, and I know we're going to finish up very soon, bro, but do you think the way that they made TV now that it's getting to a point with some wrestling fans where something as simple and as this is great to them because they've forgotten how
yeah.
creatively inspiring the show once was many moons ago. So now
Well,
simple things appear to be great to them.
yeah. I mean, then there's two kind of things to that. It's like either they weren't around during other boom periods, or they, like you said, they've been so programmed to
Mm,
expect the blandest, most
yeah.
baseline, boring,
Bland.
bland.
Very bland.
Um,
Yeah, it's
they've
exactly. They've
been
been
programmed for
programmed.
so many years. But then I think the plus side of that is it's nice if now that those fans are starting to get deprogrammed from that mindset, uh, it's still valuable to be able to get people interested in pretty simple things, because that way when you do really good, even better things, it just makes it that much more of a huge deal. But yeah, I think
Mm,
in that tweet right there, it's definitely someone that has been conditioned
yeah.
to expect a lower standard. Um, because when I saw this segment, it like we said, it was not really anything special at all. It didn't add anything to what we already know is a predictable match.
Yeah. You see, like he called it tremendous. Like I think like Shawn Michaels cutting that promo in Montreal when he was about to wrestle Hogan and he had the fake Bret Hart entrance and the fake Hogan. Like that was tremendous because the heat that it was
Yeah.
fantastic.
Like, see,
Sorry.
it was tremendous when like The Rock did that press conference in Vegas with Cody and
Yes,
like, see, to me that was
that was tremendous.
as soon as Cody finished saying that thing about your relatives would be ashamed of you,
Oh,
and as soon as The Rock took a step, he didn't even say any word. I immediately started getting pumped up. Like
yeah, that was great.
that's the standard for something tremendous. Because me as a fan of over 20 years, as soon as he said, let me make something perfectly clear to you, I was like, all right, he's going to be wrestling. This is amazing. Didn't even matter what was said after that. It was immediate star power, and it
Yeah,
was intriguing.
that was tremendous. Anyway, the word tremendous is getting thrown around too hastily
Yeah.
these days. Okay, let's move forward. There's a couple more to go here, Juicy Boy. TKK It's Delhi said Nia really beat both of the tag champs. Lol. Crying and laughing emojis.
Mm.
Yeah, like she did. And
Because
what's
she's
so
like,
funny about that?
she's as big as that she, like the Cargill and Belair, like they're very powerful, very impressive women, but like Nia Jax is still physically larger and stronger and more dominant.
It's
If she is able to ground Bianca Belair in kayfabe and control the pace of the match, she wins the match. That's just
yeah.
classic psychology. So ridiculous tweet. Thank you for tweeting that you don't really know anything about wrestling or wrestling psychology.
It's just
Um,
like give it a rest. Like I hate when fans get like on their high horse about certain wrestlers.
yeah,
Oh, she can't wrestle, so why is she beat? Like, fuck up, man. It's not about that.
that's not what it's about. It's about optics. If it was all about who was actually the best, okay. You know
Okay.
what? Just to round this off, because it'll get a pop out of you because you'll remember it once I reference it, bro.
Yep.
I remember one time long ago when I was probably about 15 or 16, and I was listening to, I'd gotten into shoot interviews by that point.
Hmm.
I came across this one from about 2007, and it was of Jim Cornette talking about wrestling. And this was during the period where he was really getting heated about it. He was still uh, burnt up about everything that had happened with OVW and Ring of Honor and everything. And at one point, and I'll never forget this because he's exactly right, he starts talking about TNA and he's talking about AJ and he's talking about Abyss and all these different people. And he's talking about how certain people in the business just don't get how the business was worked. And he goes, if wrestling was real, Kurt Angle would be TNA champion. He's like, Kurt Angle would be TNA champion all the time. Kurt Angle would be TNA champion from his first championship match. He would still
Yeah.
be TNA champion right now. He would be in all the TNA championship matches. But wrestling's not real. So Kurt Angle's not the TNA champion right now. And that was his explanation for why it's not always about who's the best in the ring and, versus who's not, right?
Yeah.
And the same thing also applies. Like Bret Hart would have never lost that WWF title in 96 if it was all about what you could do in the ring.
Mm. Good point. Very good point. We've got two more here to go. David Murray at Fear My Truth.
Such an English name.
It's just what a handle. Fear My Truth. All
Hello,
right,
I'm
mate.
David
Bit
Murray.
intense.
I'm David Murray. You can follow me on Twitter at
David Murray. At Fear My Truth.
yeah, Fear My Truth.
Like there's such
Just
an intense handle, like a Fear My Truth. As
hello
he
there.
sets up his hello there. WWA, please stop going to this backwards blood money fuel country. Every match promo seems off, and those women matches have it bad enough in United States flag. But in backwards country, showing skin is forbidden. That country has unlimited money bag,
Mhm.
but no brains to move with the times. What are you
Yeah.
going on about,
Oh,
bro?
okay. Well, we know what he's going on about. Obviously, he's commenting on the controversies and the issues within the Saudi government and the culture. Here's the thing, though. Here's my counter to that. we can sit, people who are more politically minded, if you want, you're free to not engage in these Saudi shows in protest if you don't like the fact that WWE is doing business, because the Saudi government, yeah, like they are corrupt and stuff. It's not a democratic system the way that it is in the Western world. It's a monarchy, right? So it's one person calls the shots, and that's how it is. Completely different culture from the Western world.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you want to sit there and say, oh, you shouldn't go to this backwards blood money country and stuff like that. I certainly understand why they're not the friendliest country to necessarily go into. But the government of Saudi Arabia and the population of Saudi Arabia are two different things.
Yeah.
There are men, women, and children who are living there, who are trying to live their lives, and they're the ones that actually have to live there under that repression of the government. They're the ones that, have to really mind their P's and Q's. So I think that they deserve the opportunity to actually be entertained and have something to enjoy.
Exactly.
And that they shouldn't be excluded and made pariahs from things that they may enjoy in the internet age.
Yeah, why should they be excluded just because their government's corrupt? It's not
because of what their government's doing. And as far as the thing with the women's matches, you know what? I would rather that they be allowed to perform and make some of that Saudi money. And even if the Saudi government hates women and they have all these backward views about women, hey, I'm sure the paychecks that those women get paid to go over there and be paid very well. Yes, they have to wear the long sleeve outfits and stuff. We don't agree with it. That's not our prerogative.
I don't mind it.
Yeah, and it's something different to look at as well when they do these Saudi shows. But in regards to this tweet, I just think that completely, first of all, it implies that women, aren't as strong as men. Like are they somehow in more danger going to Saudi than the male talents? I don't get that. And I also think if you're going to talk about something as serious as the geopolitical social ramifications of the WWE going to Saudi Arabia, maybe don't use emojis to do it. That's the other thing. You want people to take your opinion seriously on this fairly complex topic, and you're typing emojis and stuff like that. Yeah, great. I'm sure like the Nobel Committee is going to be like closely watching your Twitter feed, dude. Well done.
Unbelievable. Plus, you know what, bro? Like, who cares if they're not showing skin? Those outfits are tight, bro. Yeah. Bianca looked fantastic in it. At least it's not like, remember they were wearing the baggy t-shirts and such. It looked like a backyard wrestling match. Okay, last one here. At Mike JB Knows. Mikey Bats is his name. WWE fans want to be given a pass for not being familiar with wrestlers' work prior? Fine. But when Tama Tonga does the crawl, don't act confused as to why those who do know aren't weirded out. Mikey, we don't give a shit the way that he made his entrance in New Japan Pro Wrestling. We don't care.
Yeah, we don't. That doesn't matter to us. If you enjoyed it because you were familiar with it, like that's good for you. I don't know what you're talking about saying fine, WWE fans can have a pass from not being familiar with certain wrestlers if they want one. First of all, there's no such thing as having a pass from not knowing or knowing someone or whatever. Audience members are audience members, and it's the show's job to make sure that they know what the fuck is going on and what they're watching so that they don't want to change the channel. And even if there was such a hypothetical thing as giving fans a pass for a certain thing, who nominated you the mayor of giving out passes? I strongly doubt that some dickhead named Mikey Bats on Twitter is going to be granted the authority to decide what is and isn't appropriate conduct for different fans. Why don't you go fuck your mother? You know what I
mean? That was so unnecessary, but fantastic. Anyway, there we go, bro. We finished reviewing the show. We've responded to some tweets. Thank you very much, JooseyBoy, for your time.
Yeah, man, lots of fun. Thank you as well, and we'll be seeing you in about 24-ish hours for the King and Queen of the Ring review.
Better be good. All right, thanks, JooseyBoy. Thank all of you out there for joining us here on the Slab Society. Karlifornia, JooseyBoy, guess what? We will see you tomorrow. Thank you.